Welcome back, friends. It's the Soul Material Podcast, the podcast you cheer for, the channel you cheer for. And we're back with another episode for season 5. It's T-Mart the Street Shark.
And your man, the OGEO. Welcome back.
All right, and we want to give you some more clarity over popularity and sneaker business talk. All right, so we're just going to keep an ongoing story that we've had through a couple seasons. We're talking about signature athletes. We predicted this particular athlete was going to get a signature shoe, and and it hit the market by storm. And then there was a storm. So we're going to talk about, Ja Morant. The saga continues. All right. So we have Ja Morant 1s, 2s, and recently we got a preview of the Ja Morant 3s that are coming. But it's been a unique journey for Ja through injuries on and off the court, through injuries and just some ill-timed social media actions, that he had to pay the consequences for, have curbed some of the trajectory of that long-term value of those signature moments, because he didn't get to have too many moments on the court through injury or suspension. But we just wanted to just give an update on where we're at now that the NBA season's over. The Grizzlies got through the play-in game and made it, but I don't know if they're gonna last too much longer. So just wanted to hand it over to the OG and let's continue the conversation about Ja Morant.
Definitely. Well, Shark, let's go ahead and call a spade, man, and see who follows suit. Ja Morant, from a talent standpoint and his God-given athletic ability, is probably top 3 most athletic point guard that we see. I'll say top 4, because I would go ahead and put Allen Iverson in that category, because people just forget his size and how athletic he was. He catered his game to all the shots he had to put up, but athletically, he was not to be played with. Derrick Rose, no question, and Russell Westbrook. And to be a part of that category and to be a part of, that elite group of players, Nike knew what they were doing. And once, what we talked about in previous seasons, once they lost Kyrie, we had predicted that Ja was going to be up. But at the same time, I think LeBron has set a precedent and a stage that's damn near impossible, as far as being the chosen one, being as young as he was, and elevating not only his game, but elevating everything he did, community-wise, mature-wise, staying out of trouble, nose always clean. That's not always the case when you're dealing with just young heads particularly, and with the unfortunate. It's fortunate, but unfortunate. Social media can be a gift and a curse. I'm very happy about the evolution of technology. The reason why we're here as far as on Soul Material. But again, you're dealing with a generation right now that, unlike you and I, Shark, that know the pre and post social media, pre and post internet, you can't post everything, man. And Morant, it's just costed him. And I give Nike credit for understanding, given their history. We know about Charles Barkley and a few other athletes that they've had that may have been controversial and so forth, and they're being patient with them. And I will have to say that right now we are seeing the trajectory of his shoe, and the Ja 3 is the most impressive looking shoe. And by the specs and what we're reading, it looks like it's going to be the most impressive shoe of the series right now as far as performance. And we'll talk about that more in detail in a bit. But I'm hoping with the injuries, with everything else, that he'll get himself together this summer, mentally, emotionally, and come next season and just be what he was supposed to be. And that was, to be quite frank, before all this controversy, really the face of the NBA, or at least fighting to be one of the top 3 faces of the NBA. And he's at this pace to where I'm not sure if he's happy just being good, but Durant has the ability to be an all-time great. So with this shoe, this Ja 3, because we're here for so much, you got to talk about the kicks. Nike is setting him up to say, look at me now. And I'm hoping that happens. we'll have to wait and see. But he's realizing himself that even with his recent actions, he has to take some accountability and some responsibility. And I'm hoping he can look in the mirror, have a summer of reflection, and come back and be at least a candidate for MVP for the 2025-26 season, because there's no reason why Morant that Ja can't do it, man. There's no reason why he can't, Shark. It's
Yeah.
just I don't see why.
Yeah, I think that, I hope that this speeds up that maturity timeline, and being able to accept accountability. Not everyone knows what it comes with, you because you said LeBron. There's just the different echelons of responsibility that comes with not the best player on the team, but the superstar and then potential face of the league. All right, think
Mm-hmm.
about how Anthony Edwards says that he doesn't really want to be the face. He just wants to go home. He wants the ball and then go home. You know what I mean? And there's plenty of other stories. Matter of fact, there's some recent stories about a lesser player, but if you're a hooper, you know who Kevin Martin is. Not my brother, but Kevin Martin, basketball player. And some of the stories for some podcast interviews with Jeremy Lamb, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it showed up on Jeff T's podcast too, where they talked about where he was a hooper. He could score his ass off, but he would look up at the scoreboard and be like, "Oh, I'm scoring too many points," and then just stop, by halftime, and then at the end, his reasoning is, if I score too much, they might make me an all-star, and then I'll have less time to myself. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's a level of consciousness. But then it's just like, where's the competitiveness and wanting to win and all this other stuff? But at the end of the day, he has the right to feel that way, and my point being, it's always something when it comes to how you approach the game, how much you pour into it, the optics associated with it, and the level of acceptance for your role and what you can be. Because if you're going to max your potential, you have superstar face of the league potential, and it's confusing. I actually respect Anthony Edwards for saying that he didn't want all that. You know what I'm saying? But Ja, it's hard to tell because you want what comes with it, but it doesn't look like you want it all the way, at least in the beginning, right? Because now we're flashing guns multiple times, like we didn't learn the first time. You know what I mean? Like, I always get scared when I see the athlete with the shirt off in the strip club. Like, that means you're doing too much. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, that means that, why do you want so much attention to yourself? You know what I'm saying? Because think about when you're in the club standing on the couch, the person that takes their shirt off, they're they want the attention. That's why they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's nothing else. All right. It's just these look at me moments, and we don't want to look at you like that. Ja. And one of the things we talked about in the past is how he has to be careful because the position, especially with a brand like Nike, they were moving on. You came in the vacuum that of the Kyrie anti-Semitism and anti-COVID and everything like that, and then the way that everyone kind of turned away from Kyrie, you walked into that vacuum. So that meant that you were a part of the group that they needed a signature shoe, and they needed a signature shoe that worked for kids. All right, because that was a big demographic. So one thing I wanted to, and then we had to have these what ifs. So I think this shoe that I'll show off, the Ja One right here, this is a what if shoe to me because we never saw him wear this. This is what he was supposed to wear in the All-Star game, but we never got the appearance through suspensions and injuries. But this was the Ja Morant One. All right. And this one, I just like this. I got this on the low. I liked it because they used some of his, like the interior has like these email notifications, like he's an employee of Nike. And then the tag is like an employee tag that you would wear a lanyard around your neck. All right. So again, Nike was all in, like treating it like, yeah, you family, you like your employee. Boom, let's share. You know what I'm saying? Because again, this is why Ja likes to talk about how involved he is. So now with the twos, he got tired of all these foreign sites and other sneaker blogs leaking the models. So he said this past season, I'm leaking my own stuff. So everything that has hit the internet first has come from him. And I'm actually not mad at that. I think more athletes might want to take control of what they're, what people see. But that two model is too much of a derivative of this for me to buy into it. And they got a Kool-Aid collaboration, and some of their other colorways just look like spinoffs of the one rather than things that stand alone. So that's why I was very pleased. Like you were, I totally agree with you and your commentary on the Ja 3 that we've seen. That it's just going in another direction. That could be the Ja 1 for all I care. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're rebooting. And, I think in a good way, not a LaMelo Ball Puma. It's regression with his models from 1 through 4 rather than the exponential takeoff of evolution of the silhouette. That is. So I really think that the 3 you can do so much with. I love the check is the J, and then there's this abstract A on the side, and yeah. So if you want to talk a little bit more about your first impressions of the 3, I think that that's something that everyone can look forward to, and we hope that his maturity and growth throughout the summer, or whatever he's going to do to work on his game. I really think that this is a perfect intersectionality for next season for Ja to have the brand. Let's have the signature shoe with the modern technology, and it's sleek. It looks like nothing else. Get some commercials, to beef up that image. And we got to come up with some weapon or violent oriented celebrations. But other than that, because we got to shoot him up, and now they find him for that, and now he throwing the bombs, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's them keeping the haters away. Like, you can spin it, but like, you know, let's just come up with something unique. that's a safe signature play, for the kids, and turn up. So I'll give it back to you, OG. Any thoughts on the future, the Ja Morant 3, and anything he might have to do to
Definitely. I am excited
take flight?
because it's been a while since I initially just saw something and said, oh, okay. Because at first I didn't know what it was, but I was like, first of all, that's in a very attractive shoe. So before I knew it was a Ja Morant, I was like, oh, those look like something. Okay. And then reading the specs, I'm excited about this entire full midsole of the Zoom X technology. So I'm not sure if that's going to feel like the boost, if you will, or if it's going to be. But I'm looking forward to see how that goes as far as the responsiveness and also this micro traction sole that goes up into. Like I said, that the A that shows with the Nike swish that is I won't say upside down, but upside right to where it shows like a J and an A. And just in a very attractive shoe that has great potential when you think about colorways and color placement. And, here's soul material. We are all about the materials. I cannot wait to see if it's going to be a gum sole somewhere with that micro
Somewhere.
traction. We'll have to see because the gum sole with the traction, again, we'll wait and see for that. But I'm looking forward because there is a trajectory, as you said, going up, as I say, trending upward with just the first colorway alone. I'm going to say something that's going to be unpopular, but this is the podcast where it's clarity over popularity. When I saw it, the EOH in me says, I am so tired of one thing. And that is we're at a point to where it seems like we're in the 2K kind of create your shoe mode, where it's a similar mode to where it seems like everyone is giving some kind of homage, or there is some kind of influence that's of Kobe. And with the relationship that Kobe's wife has with Nike and what they've been able to mend, we're still getting Kobe's. And I'm at a point now that I am so tired. It seems like every single silhouette that is low top, it seems like it is a rendition or a homage to a Kobe model, or because it's low top, it has to look like Kobe-ish. And I think it's just overdone. So the job reminds me of that a little bit, but so does, Adrian Wilson's first joint. So did Sabrina's joint. So did, if you, even though the books, they kind of, emulate the Air Force One, there's still some kind of Kobe element to it. So I'm just like, back in the day, not every high top looked the same. So I'm looking forward to this low top era, if you will, because now no one wears mid tops or high tops, to not emulate um, some reflection of Kobe, because we are still getting Kobe's. Now, we weren't getting Kobe's, and if Vanessa and Nike was still beefing and it was still crazy Kobe's, something different. But I think it's just been overdone now. So outside of that, and that's just me, probably my own head, people may not even see it anymore, because I think people have been programmed to just see a low top and it's what it is. But I'm seeing a little bit of Kobe in every single Nike basketball low top now. So, but outside of that, I love the model. I love the first colorway. I love that swoosh, and I'm wait to see how they perform. But again, as you have said many a times, Shark, in past episodes, it's all about the moments. And if Ja doesn't have a moment or moments in those shoes and have a career year where he's back in the All-Star game, which is he's more than capable of doing, and back to being at least top 10 vote MVP, which he's capable of doing, it's nothing but just a great looking shoe. But with the athlete, as we know, when it comes to Dion, Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, we have the history of once an athlete elevates, a King Griffey, once a person elevates, Nike put that machine behind you, and your story becomes legendary for generations. We're still talking about shoes now that were around when you and I were kids, that now, your niece, my daughter, is now talking about like she was a part of the era in the 90s and the 2000s. So I'm looking forward, hopefully, to Ja knowing that that's there for him for the taking, like you said. And all he got to do is just grab it, because the talent is there, everything is there. And we just got to this place because of his lack of accountability. And this whole the world is against him type of thing, I'm just hope that gets worked out on, because if the three look like some garbage, you and I will be having a different discussion, Shark. But from what I see from that shoe, they're investing in him having what we would call a comeback of the year story for next season.
Yeah, I really think I'm actually going to agree with almost everything that you just said. And the only caveat I'm going to add is, because some of these athletes actually admit what you're saying. Like,
Hmm.
they are actually, because remember, if they're not investing to be like, I want to learn about how to make shoes and do colorways and do this, this, and this, then if you're just coming in and you're one of those people that's just like, I want like the thing that you wear and perform in, and they too many of these athletes are saying like, yes, Kobe was an influence. Sabrina, Devin Booker, a couple of these people, they've actually admitted like that Kobe has had some influence, especially with the low top. So I get the why it's a little fatigue for us, because but the context just says they don't have they're still younger than us too. They don't have the timeline of options that we understand to look for and look at. They never played and looked at Kobe Adidas to know Kobe. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I feel like Ja, did his stint where he, worked with colorways and tried to learn it. You know what I mean? He can ask better questions. he
Hmm.
can he can ask for more specific things than the average person. The average person, they give you the model, they give you silhouettes and ideas. Well, like, what story do you want to tell? And then people kind of work around that, and they're like, yeah, just change this. But if you're really into it, you're like, nah, this panel's gonna have this material, this, and this, and it really has to flow this way. And if I'm not mistaken, Ja went back to the Nike team and said, like, start over like it's new again. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it looks like they rebooted quick. And then to me, I was just like, okay. Now we got to match the on court, but this could be, Jordan 1 and 2, and then 3. Ooh, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, because the Jordan 3s just went, wow, what is this? Look at these materials. They don't, this silhouette is it's not, it doesn't look like this. You know what I mean? Everything's boxy. You know what I mean? It doesn't have like what, and these heel tabs and this and that. And the way that silhouette worked, I feel like, because again, we're having derivatives. That looks like it's by itself, and it has like, the play on the scratch in this. and it's not the literal scratch colorway. You know what I'm saying? No, like it's the makeup now of the shoe. You know what I mean? And the way that I just want to see how much it's cosmetic versus it actually comes up. You know what I mean? Because now, give me some alpha project action going on over here. If you know what I'm talking about. Like, but again, when
Silver
you got
box.
that lower top, you can't do but so much. But if you're going to, I love how Nike would mash up new models with old stuff. Shout out to our guy, friend of the podcast, Xavier Jones, colorway specialist over at Nike. Like when you're taking some retro color vibes and putting them on that, like I feel like you don't even need to recycle and do that with the jaw. You know what I mean? But you needed to do it with the second model, and a little bit on the tail end. But when it's so new and it's so fresh, you get to write the story again. And I think that that's a great timing for where he's at in his career to reboot his brand, his image. Look, we got to go all the way. Hey, T. Morant, your dad, we got to talk to you too a little bit, dog. Your son's the main character. Just wanted to put that out there. All right. Because you got to realize that you're part of his image in the public eye too. All right. So we just want to keep the positive, happy dad stuff going on, and supportive dad. But once you get into some of the celebrations and talking trash and you getting thrown out of games too, you know what I'm saying? Like, not to say that happens often, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, that's not helpful. And you helped them get there. I'm not taking any credit away from that, but let's make sure that we're doing what we can to keep them there. And because, you could lose favor quickly. Look how fast the team trajectory, and then they started moving a couple pieces around thinking they could just keep the party going, and they did not. They lost it. They needed Dylan Brooks. They needed,
Steven Adams.
Steven Adams. You know what I'm saying? There's so many people. I was their backup point guard that was with the Suns, that was with the Wizards. Name escaped me really quick, but
Jones.
yeah, Jones, Tyler Jones, whatever.
Best backup point guard during that era.
Come
Best
on,
backup
you know what I'm
point guard.
saying? Like I like what Scottie Pippen Jr. is doing, but like they lost depth. You know what I mean? They don't have Marcus Smart. Now they questioning Jaren Jackson Jr. You know what I'm saying? If you really that dude like that, you know what I mean? Or just a flash in the pan and you show up when you want to. You know what I mean? So I really think that they have a piece or two that they need to add. But OG, you mentioned a couple players that are similar. I'd actually hybrid them together and say it's Derrick Rose playing in Allen Iverson's body.
Hmm.
That's what that
Wow.
looks like. Okay,
Wow.
I can't go Westbrook because he's different stature and it came with more power and raw. You know what I'm saying? But that Westbrook, but the 2 foot jumping from Westbrook and Derrick Rose, but I still felt like Derrick Rose was just springy. Westbrook power. You know what I'm saying? But Rose, he'll just and then float on you. You know what I'm saying, and just kiss the rim. With his elbows. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's Allen Iverson's body. I'm telling you right now. You know what I'm saying? With the lengthy, with his arms. You know what I'm saying? But I think that Ja's gonna have to evolve his game. He's gonna have to learn from D Wade's of the world and others, and they're taking you out the air, dog. Like you can't jump over everybody. You're not Blake Griffin and all this other stuff. You don't have the power behind you. So you get knocked out of the air a lot. It looked nice. You got the most highlighted missed dunks. You know what I'm saying? But you got to make them count, and you got to keep playing. You're about to get knocked out of the playoffs just because you got knocked out of the air, and now you can't play in the next game. I hope that because we want to see. Look at the Adidas. They got all campaigns just for posterizations. All right, so that can be you too. You know what I mean? I want to see some posters of the Ja 3 of you flying over some people, but you have to. You remember you was talking about, oh, I ain't gonna dunk no more, and then now you still like stick to what you say, and make sure that you're here for the long term, because your long term value is associated with health. most importantly. So, you know, develop that mid range so that you can stop and pop, get some floater action going on, and use that hang time. That's why I said D Wade. You know, use that hang time because D Wade, like you would see him on the floor a lot, but that's because he used the angles and the hang time. Kobe did it a little bit later on where that fadeaway turn, like he might as well be almost on the ground here. You know, he just used all of that distance. As long as your feet don't touch the ground and you travel, you use all the airspace. So if you can jump, then that don't mean you have to jump over people, but use it to jump around and through and use that the you know some of that poetry and motion that you're known for and like come up with some new moves. You know what I mean? Give me the John Wall 360 lay. You know what I'm saying? Like let's get some new assets to the game to match the new shoes coming up. So we want to see you playing on the court and getting in the All-Star game, all that good stuff. So yeah, Ja Morant, the saga continues. All right. So any last words from the OG before we wrap up? Just a continued story of Ja Morant.
Definitely. I just want to say that it's absolutely amazing for us to predict what we predicted and us now being a part of the story. And I think the story is just beginning. So, again, I am hopeful that we will see an awesome Ja Morant coming up in the future. Everyone has his back, from the city of Memphis to the organization, Nike, and Soul Material as well. So, Ja, we wish you the best. Get healthy, but I'm looking forward to you coming back on your EPMD and your LL Cool J on a rampage next season with these kicks that will definitely assist, not only from a functional standpoint, but from an attraction standpoint, because that shoe should sell out, not only just with us, but with the kids as well. It's so much diversity and there's so much potential with that shoe model alone. Let's get it for 25, 26, Ja. The world is yours. Take it.
Well, another episode in the books. We definitely gave you more clarity over popularity, sneaker business talk from the Soul Material crew. All right, so till next time, friends, I'm signing off. It's T Mark Street Shark.
And the OGEO, until next time, peace to you.
Sneaker business talk. It's the Soul Material Podcast.